the rules that are in place today can only be adjusted so far before they really begin to break.
What can you tell us about this kind of the position in Switzerland at present?
Right. The Swiss are, and have been for the last couple of years, very actively thinking through changing the way that companies that are based in Switzerland are taxed. And they've been doing that for a couple of reasons. One is because the country has been under pressure from the international community to essentially adopt to an international framework that's more consistent with the way other countries tax companies. The other reason is because they have come to the realization that companies need to be taxed in a way which is more transparent, and that is an international standard that Switzerland needs to apply as well. So the change is coming both as a result of external pressure, but also, I think, inward realization or internal reflection. The Swiss, I think, are likely to adopt a framework for taxing companies, which will probably need to go through the referendum process, but will result in a series of measures that will give more transparency and will, I think, result in a taxation system for companies that will maintain Switzerland as a competitive location for multinational businesses, but will mean Switzerland is more consistent with the international framework that's in place elsewhere.
What do you think the future looks like? How do you see the situation evolving?
I think it's likely to go one of two ways. It can either, I think there will be a gradual, or I should say incremental, change to the way companies are taxed, adapting the current system to conform to the modern realities and today's expectations on transparency and so forth. The other way, though, this could go, I think, is a fairly fundamental and somewhat radical change that may come in terms of how companies are taxed. The problem, I think, that governments are wrestling with currently is the rules that have been in place for decades are somewhat ill-suited to the expectations that people have on and how companies are taxed today. The rules that are in place today can only be adjusted so far before they really begin to break. And I think governments are struggling with whether to try to force the rules, the current framework, and adapt them, or really move to something that would be fundamentally different and new. And I think it's very difficult to know at this point where that's going to go.
The script could be ripped up.
The script could be ripped up, and which would be very interesting because that would mean that there would be a lot of companies looking for help in this area, and a lot of governments looking for help also in terms of what the new script ought to read like.
Well, Mark, thank you so much for coming in and breaking this huge topic down. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting it through with you. Thank you.
It's been my pleasure.
Thank you. Okay, well, that is all from Mark and myself. We hope you've enjoyed all these instalments, and please do keep on clicking back to Dukascopy TV for much more. Bye for now.